Hey, everybody. Welcome to this YouTube Live. Ask Me Anything About Attracting Your Soulmate using EFT. My name is Stefan Gonick. I'm an expert EFT practitioner and founder of the Soulmate Attraction Academy from single to soulmate.me. So I'm going to be answering all your questions. I've got people who are live in the call whose questions I'll be answering. And I also have actually just one question that was emailed to me in advance, and I'll be answering that one as well. So the first question, I'm going to bring it up on the screen here. Oh, turns out the ones that were there before don't show up on this thing. All right. Well, anyway, what he said was, what are the major blocks to attracting your soulmate? So, which is actually the perfect intro into what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you the main concepts that I use around this whole thing about attracting our soulmate. So the way that I look at this is that there are three keys to attracting your soulmate, three things that either are preventing you from attracting your soulmate, or if you address these three things, this is what will help you ultimately attract your soulmate and be able to finally be with the love of your life. So these three key things are, first of all, being powerfully, subconsciously attracted to the wrong people. And when I say the wrong people, I'm talking about how you find yourself having one relationship after the next with people who have similar negative traits in common. So these negative traits may be things like, they cheat on you all the time, or it might be that they have anger issues, or they might be critical and judgmental, or they might be really needy, or they might be emotionally unavailable, or they might be very manipulative, things like that. So it'll be some sort of negative trait that as you look back over your history of relationships, you'll notice that, oh, shoot, many of my partners had, at least one negative trait in common, or maybe even a few different negative traits in common. Like the list I gave you might be everything on that list. Who knows? So that's the first key block. And there's reasons for that from childhood as to why we create why we create these negative attraction patterns, as I call them, these powerful subconscious negative attraction patterns. But as long as this first thing is present, all you're going to do is recreate your childhood pain, because these negative traits that we're talking about come from painful experiences of those negative traits, typically with your parents or whoever you grew up with. So you're just going to be kind of doomed to keep repeating the same kind of painful relationship over and over again. So that's the most important thing to address right off the bat is to identify what your negative attraction patterns are, and then to do what you need to do to break out of that, right? So you stop being attracted to those people, because as long as you're attracted to those people, finding your soulmate is not going to be possible, or even just having a happy relationship is not going to be possible. So that's the first key block. The second key thing are the fears and limiting beliefs that interfere with us being with our ideal partner. So there's a simple little exercise you can do to help you start to get in touch with what these fears and negative beliefs are. And one way you can do that, you can just do that right now real quick, is start by thinking about all the things you're looking for in your ideal partner. Lots of times we have in mind what we're looking for, right? So, and in fact, I actually encourage people to write them all down. Like, what are all the things you're looking for in an ideal partner? And just make a list. When I did that for myself, I had 35 different things on my list. But the exercise goes like this. Let's say you've already done that, or at least right now and in the moment, you can think of what your top 10 things are. And then the next thing is to imagine, close your eyes and imagine that you're meeting somebody who has everything you're looking for in a partner. And maybe, somebody's introduced you to this person or something like that. And then what you want to do is tune into your internal reaction to meeting this person who has everything you're looking for in your ideal partner. And there may be some positive reactions like excitement and things like that, but there will very likely be some fears and negative beliefs that rise up as well. So for instance, as far as negative beliefs goes, one of the most common ones that show up for people, it was certainly true for me, is, you think about how this, you're meeting this amazing person, has everything you're looking for. And the first thought is like, well, what would that person see in me? Right. So there's this feeling, the negative belief is things like, I'm not good enough for somebody like that, or I'm not worthy of somebody like that. or something along those lines. The way I worded it in my own head before I fully understood all this stuff was somebody that I am super interested in couldn't possibly be interested in me. So you can see how, a negative belief like that, or any one of those different flavors of that, can be very self-defeating, right? And in fact, it impacted my love life, very, very strongly. So for instance, anytime I go to a party or any kind of group event when I was a single guy, lots of times I scan the room at all the women there. And there's usually at least one woman who's like really would jump out to me. Is not that she was just, pretty or something like that, but there's something about her energy that was just really interesting and appealing. It's like, wow, she seems like really interesting. I would love to go talk to her. And then I'd keep scanning, and then I'd see this other woman. It's like, well, she seems nice, but I wasn't having this excited reaction. But that negative belief I had was so powerful that there was no way I could go over to that person, the one that I thought was like really interesting, because I felt defeated in advance. Like, well, there's no way she'd be interested in me, so why even go talk to her? And then instead, I would talk to the one that I wasn't that interested in, and I'd be comfortable and relaxed with her because I wasn't really that interested. And then lots of times she would then like me because I'd be relaxed and confident, things like that. And then I'd be in this like a little dilemma. It's like, well, I'm not really that interested in this person. But I kind of like the fact that she's interested in me, kind of helps me feel better about myself. So maybe I'll, do it. And sometimes I get in relationships with people like that where, I knew in advance I wasn't really that into it. So that would be one example. For you, I mean, everybody's going to be idiosyncratic. What comes up for you as you imagine meeting your ideal partner? So like I said, that is the number one most common one, but there can also be all sorts of fears. So fears may be things like, one of the most common fears is afraid of getting hurt again. So lots of times as we imagine being with our ideal partner, one of the things about being with our ideal partner is that when we meet somebody who has everything we're looking for in a partner, being with that person, the risk feels very high in the sense that on the one hand, they're exactly what we're looking for. On the other hand, if they don't like us, or actually, if things go well, the chances of being in a really serious relationship are high, right? Because they're everything we're looking for in a partner. So that will tend to bring out all of our fears the most intensely. It'll also bring out our fears of rejection and things like that the most intensely because the stakes feel really high. So in both ways, the stakes feel really high, whether if the possibility of the person not liking us, right? Or it brings out basically all of our fears around intimacy because this is our ideal partner. There's a chance we're going to have a serious relationship and have a lot of intimacy. So whatever fears we have around intimacy is going to show up. So like I say, one of the most common was a fear of being hurt again. And when I say again, it might be hurt again like a prior romantic partner as an adult, or it might be afraid of getting hurt again in the ways that we got hurt when we were a child in our family, right? Because we learned what intimacy was all about in our family, right? That was our first experience of intimacy. So anything that felt painful in our childhood will tend to be, something that we're subconsciously scared of as we get together with somebody. And like I said, if the person really is our ideal partner, the chance of, there's the greatest possible chance of intimacy. So it brings out our fears very strongly. So this can be a gigantic block because anybody, if these fears and or negative beliefs are strong enough, they can do what it did for me, make me not able to even talk to a woman that I found really interesting, right? Or it might be a step down for that, where I'm able to talk to her, but I sabotage myself as I'm doing it, right? Because there's a part of me that's so scared to go there. I have this sort of push-pull inside of myself. Part of me really wants to go there, but a part of me is kind of terrified of going there. So I will unintentionally sabotage myself. I might sabotage myself by feeling kind of insecure as I'm talking to the person. Or I might sabotage myself by saying these weird things where I'm going, who said that? As a way of subconsciously sabotage anything from actually happening. And this is a really common thing. Either one of those levels, like, I just can't even approach the person, or if they approach me, I might just really freeze up and not be able to talk at all. I might be so awkward that I can't even say hardly anything, or I might not be quite that bad, but I will still do things that will sabotage things, either as we're starting to get to know each other, or even as we start getting involved. Because as we're starting to get involved, things start developing more and more. So my fear level will keep rising. So I'll give you another example for myself. I mean, again, these are my examples from back when I was single. Everybody's going to have their own fears and negative beliefs. So another negative belief I had was a very impersonal one, and it was about marriage. And I had this belief that as soon as I got married, that from day one of getting married, I would lose all freedom and independence, and I would have to do every single thing that my wife wanted me to do, and I couldn't do anything she didn't want me to do. Now, when you think about it, that's not a very appealing prospect for marriage, right? So what would happen, though, is that if I met somebody really great, if things worked out, the chance, it could potentially lead to marriage, right? So the better the person was, the higher chance that eventually might lead to marriage. And then that would scare me because I had this really big negative belief about marriage. So that kind of thing, without me even being aware of it, because it's not like as soon as I'm starting to date somebody, I'd be thinking about that fear, or that fearful belief, I should say. But it would just be in the background and would cause me to sabotage things. So we all have this, basically. We all have our fears and negative beliefs. And that exercise I gave you is sort of a first step towards getting in touch with what some of them are. I have more elaborate processes to really bring out all the fears and negative beliefs that you might have around being with your ideal partner and getting married and all these other things. But this is a good place to start. And what you'll find, like I say, is if you kind of stay with this little exercise, you'll find that you have a whole list of fears and a whole list of negative beliefs. And so what you want to do is write them all down, rate them all on a scale of 0 to 10. The fears is easy. How intense is the fear on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is not at all and 10 is terrifying, right? And for negative beliefs, it's how true it feels in your gut, right? Our mind might know it's not true. Like, like this belief of I'm not worthy of this person. My mind might go, well, of course you're worthy. Everybody's worthy of everybody. But in my gut feeling, which is going to be more from a childhood kind of, sort of inner child kind of thing, my gut might be feeling like, yeah, 10 out of 10, I'm not worthy. My mind might be thinking, well, that's not true. 0, right? And then I might end up with a kind of averaging them together, and it's a 5. So you want to let go of your mind and just tune into your gut feeling about this negative belief and your gut feeling about these fears. Same thing, because these are what's really, the more accurate way of looking at it. And then what you want to do is start, using EFT to start working your way through this list of fears and list of negative beliefs. And once you've done that, you will, once you've cleared them all out, there'll be nothing holding you back from being with your ideal partner or soulmate. And then the third thing is about something called the law of attraction. Law of attraction is a little complicated, so I'm not going to try and do a big full explanation of it. There's lots of videos on what the law of attraction is, because I want to get to the rest of people's questions, since I'm kind of spent a lot of time in this very first one, but it's such important stuff. These are the main concepts that I use to help people understand what they're dealing with, what's getting in the way of them being with their soulmate, and what we need to do to heal that so that they finally can be with their soulmate. So anyway, law of attraction is all about putting out to the universe what it is you're wanting. And if you do it in the right way, you will then attract to you the thing you're wanting. So I kind of put out to the universe, I'm trying to find my soulmate, and it'll help bring my soulmate to me. However, there's a complication to it, because whatever you put out to the universe is what will come back, including how we're feeling as we're putting out to the universe. So you can use that same list of things you're looking for in a partner as your starting point of putting out to the universe that I want to find this person, right? So I'm looking for all these different things on this list, and I kind of send it out to the universe. Send. And then hopefully it'll attract that person to me. But a key element here is, how are you feeling as you're sending it out? If you're feeling positive feelings, like I'm really hopeful, or I'm excited, or I feel this sense of contentment or happiness, or any kind of positive state at all, then that's going to help bring to you what you want. But if as I'm sending out to the universe that I want somebody with all these different traits, and I'm feeling hopeless and scared and frustrated and angry and any kind of negative stuff, that is not going to work very well, because I'm going to bring that back to me, right? So if I'm having all these negative feelings as I send out my partner vision, per se, I'm not going to get a good result. So it's really important. including these negative attraction patterns, right? So, for instance, a lot of people try and just go straight to the law of attraction. To me, the law of attraction is something you should use it as the third step in the process. Step 1, break free from the negative attraction patterns. Step 2, clear out your fears and negative beliefs. Then step 3 is using the law of attraction. Because even if you have this, clear partner vision, you put it out to the universe, but you still have these negative attraction patterns, unintentionally, you're going to be putting that out to the universe too. And the law of attraction, which is an accelerating force, is just going to help you find your next negative partner faster, right? So anyway, these are the basic concepts I use. It's segued from the very first question that one person asked. So that's my answer to that. Hopefully you guys will find that helpful. Now we're going to see what other questions people have live on the call here. Okay, one person just said that my video is frozen, but the audio is good. So I'm going to try turning off my video and turn it back on again. If somebody could let me know in the comments as to whether or not the video is now visible, that'd be great. Okay, so let's see. There's another question here. Okay, so this person wrote, do you have to share some karmic lessons? Do you have to share this? Oh, the same karmic lessons and frequency. So I'm not quite sure what you mean by that question. So rather than just kind of trying to guess, if you can elaborate on that a bit, I can answer the question better. And the same person wrote, how does the law of attraction work with karmic lessons and frequency? And also the video is still frozen after I did this. Let me just try turning my video off again. Is my video working now? Still frozen video. Shoot. Well, nothing I'm doing to help unfreeze the video is working. So, the audio is still working, so I'll just keep answering questions using the audio. Are you seeing? I put a comment on the screen. Are you seeing that, or are you seeing nothing? Just the video being frozen still. Can anybody see? So when I ask a question, there's a little bit of a delay because it's, what goes out is not instantaneous, and what comes back, it takes a little while to get a response. So you are seeing the comment. Okay, well, at least we got you guys can see the comment. All right. So to answer the question from Jody, how does the law of attraction work with karmic lessons and frequency? So again, I'm still not really clear what you mean by karmic lessons. Karmic lessons. If you can say a bit more about that, then I can answer that. So try and type a bit more of more detail into your question. All right. So I have an emailed in question, so I'm going to go ahead and answer this one. Now, this one is very particular, and it's about a woman who's looking for a man who's, well, I'll read the question, but I'm going to answer a bit more generally because it's a common, question. Okay. So I have another question coming in. All right. All right, good. So we have a bunch more questions coming in. All right, so the person who said karmic lesson as in experiences carried over to experience in this life. That's a really interesting question. And I have to say, I'm not sure. I actually am somebody who believes in past lives. And I do think lots of times we get together with people that we've been together in past lives, lots of times in different kinds of relationships. But I'm not sure how it plays out. I mean, I view that each life we have is about, learning lessons about life and love and things like that. So there's ideas that, we pick our parents and the family we're born into with the purpose of learning certain kind of lessons that we're struggling with in all of our lives. So we kind of give ourselves opportunity to learn these things over and over again. But in terms of the kind of stuff I'm talking about, this karmic stuff, so I talk about, I think about these negative attraction patterns that come from our childhood. They may also come from past lives. But the point is that these patterns are healable. It is completely possible to break out of these negative attraction patterns. We're not doomed to keep repeating them over and over again. We are kind of doomed to keep repeating them over and over again if we don't do anything about them. But the cool thing is that it's very possible to do the healing that it takes to break free from these negative attraction patterns. And when you do it the right way, it doesn't take that long. When I work with somebody one-on-one, for instance, so let's say somebody has 3 negative attraction patterns. Maybe it's a woman and she is attracted to men who are emotionally unavailable, and men who are kind of critical and judgmental, and men who are who get angry easily. So those are sort of the 3 themes that seem to persist through most of their relationships. The way you heal this, or what it takes, I should say, to break out of these negative attraction patterns, is you need to heal approximately 3 representative memories per negative trait. So 3 representative memories of her parent or parents being emotionally unavailable, 3 representative memories of the parent getting angry easily or being judgmental and critical, right? And that's all it takes. I mean, you have to do it the right way. And, I can describe the right way to do that. But the really cool news is generally, there's no, exact rule for everybody, but generally it takes about healing 3 memories. And you no longer are then attracted to people with that negative trait. So it doesn't take, months and months or years and years to stop being attracted to people with certain negative traits. It's a pretty quick process, which is really cool. So I don't know if I can give you a really, satisfying answer about the karmic lessons from past lives thing, but at least I can tell you that. New people getting on the call are pointing out that the video is frozen. I don't know why that's happening. It didn't happen the last time, or any of the prior times. I tried a couple different things to unfreeze the video. It's not working. So unfortunately, at least the audio is working, which is really kind of primary anyway, right? Because otherwise, all you're really looking at is just me on a screen. So we just have to deal with it, and I will make sure it doesn't happen in future live, calls. So here's, let's see, I'm gonna make sure I didn't skip anybody. Okay, I'm gonna put this next comment on the screen. I don't know if that's visible, separate from my, the video of me, but I'll go ahead and read it to you. After sending out my partner vision, do I need to continue sending the vibes, or can I stop? How do I know if the new person that's messaging me is my soulmate? We're chatting from a dating site. So I have a video called The Right Way to Use the Law of Attraction to Attract Your Soulmate. So I'm going to give you a quick answer, but I encourage you to go check out that video, which is like a 12-minute video. So I don't want to use 12 minutes of this 1-hour Q&A call when, to answer that question fully when, I have this other video that goes into great detail. So I'm going to kind of give you, like I said, a quick answer. And the quick answer is, well, you actually have 2 parts to it. Do you have to keep sending it out? You don't have to keep sending out your partner vision using the law of attraction process. I would encourage you to periodically send it out, like maybe every couple of weeks you can send it out. But what's actually more important than to some people send it out every day, stuff like that. You don't have to do that. The important thing is a couple important things. One, notice as you're sending it out how you're feeling. If you're feeling positive feelings as you're sending it out, then that's going to make it much more likely to be successful. If you're having mixed or negative feelings when you're sending it out, then you need to address those before it's going to work much at all. But let's assume that you're having primarily positive feelings when you send it out. So the next key step in using the law of attraction is that the law of attraction is going to try and help the two of you get together by giving you subtle nudges or urges to do something to help bring the two of you together in the same place and time, right? Because it might start attracting you towards each other, but you might need some help in actually meeting in person. And it may or may not have anything to do with who you're chatting with on a dating site. But you want to be open to and aware of and honor these nudges or urges. So I'll give you an example. The last time I used the law of attraction before I met my wife, so it was my last girlfriend before my wife, I had just recently put out, what I was looking for using the law of attraction. And then I think within 2 weeks of doing that, I got this email about a Valentine's Day dance through this personal growth organization, which might sound intriguing since I'm into personal growth and I wanted to meet somebody who's also into personal growth. But I'm a very avid partner dancer, and there's no greater torture for an avid partner dancer than to attend a dance of non-dancers, right? Because, anyway, just take my word for it. So normally I would never in my life attend a dance with non-dancers. It would just be too painful. And I deleted that email, but just as I was deleting it, I felt this little nudge to go attend that dance. And it's like, and the regular part of me is like, oh no, I don't want to go to a dance like that. But I felt this nudge. And in fact, it was just kind of the word go in my head. And since I'm into the law of attraction and I'm very aware of these nudges, this part of the process, I went, okay, I guess I'll go. And sure enough, she stood out like a beacon in the room. And, we got together and we were together for 2 years. Interestingly, during the exact same 2 years that my wife-to-be was in a relationship with another guy, and we split up with our respective partners the same weekend. One of us did it on Friday, and the other did it on a Sunday in the same weekend, and we met each other the following weekend. So there was a lot of reasons why I was with that person. But anyway, that's how the law of attraction works. The key part of it is being sensitive to these nudges. So the nudge might be to do something you wouldn't normally do, like me going to this kind of dance, or it could be doing something you would normally do, but not at a time you normally do it. Like maybe you tend to go grocery shopping on the weekend, and all of a sudden you have this urge to go on Tuesday night. And you go, that's weird. For some reason, I feel like going grocery shopping Tuesday night. And the big thing is that the urge will often feel weird. Like it's just like odd, not something I would normally do. And the key element here is you want to be, first of all, notice the urge. That could be hard for people. And then honor it, right? Like, I'm walking down the street and I see this flyer for this poetry slam. It's like, I never attend poetry slams, but all of a sudden I feel this urge to go to it anyway. And it's like, okay, law of attraction. I'll go, I'll follow the urge. So that's a super important part of this law of attraction thing. More important than how many times you send it out and, whether or not the person you're chatting with is it. Now, how do you know if you've met, somebody who fits your negative attraction patterns? Because, before you heal that, the people you're going to find the sexiest people on the planet will be the people who match your negative attraction patterns versus your soulmate, which you should hopefully also feel very excited about, right? That's the other part of your question, right? How do I know if the person messaging me is my soulmate? First of all, you're not going to know if anybody's your soulmate just through messaging. You have to meet in person. Okay, so the messaging part is just the prelude, right? But once you meet in person, I actually have a video on that topic too, and we're already halfway through this call. So I forgot the exact title of it, but if you go to my channel, Stefan Gonick, on YouTube, and you look for, I think the title has something to do with a healthy versus unhealthy attraction, something like that. Where I talk about unhealthy attraction versus soulmate attraction. So I would encourage you to watch that. All right, so let's see the next question. Okay. Actually, let me answer. I've been putting off my email question. Let me go ahead and answer that. And then I'll come back to, it's the only one I have, so I'll come back to all the live ones. Okay, so anyway, this woman wrote, I'm definitely looking to attract true agape love, but it's hard to find and maintain true supportive, honest purpose partners who support the work I do as an artist, filmmaker, author, mom, and entrepreneur. And it's challenging to find a true man of God who has a true connection and relationship with our fathers through his son, Jesus Christ. They start off really great in trying to impress me. They go to church with me and pray, etc. Then eventually it becomes exhausting because I'm leading spiritually, because in actuality, he didn't have a relationship with God. Then eventually they fall off, or they say my career keeps me too busy, or I find out that he's dishonest and entertaining someone else via direct message, or emotionally, or only God knows. So I need help in discovering what I'm doing wrong. Am I too nice and too friendly too soon? Are my standards too high? Is it hard to find a godly man who truly has a relationship with him? Is it hard to find someone who won't be insecure with my career as an actor and filmmaker? Help, please. All right. For people new, I know the video is frozen. I'm very sorry about that. The audio is working though, so I'm answering everybody's questions. So I know this is all about God, basically, but somebody looking for somebody who's godly. But it's the same question in general, right? Even though it's that. So if I generalize the question a bit, what it's really more about is, I'm looking for something really specific, right? That's really important to me. It could be somebody who's, a man of God. It could be whatever it is you want. Like I said, my partner vision, I wrote down all the things I was looking for in a partner, had 35 things on it. My wife to be, by the way, had 32 things on her list. And so when you think about it, that's a lot of things, right? So it's very specific. So lots of times people get concerned that what they're looking for is too specific. Like my standard is too high, or I'm looking for too much. And some dating coaches even kind of go along with that idea, because they'll say, don't go for the moon, just pick your top 5 most important things. Or maybe they might even go up to 10, right? And because, more than that is unrealistic, or you're going to narrow things down too much, or whatever. I totally believe in the opposite. I believe in going for everything we're looking for. That's why I said 35 things on my list. And once you clear everything out, you will find that, right? So my wife to be ended up matching 35 out of my 35 items. And for her, I matched 31 and a half out of her 32 items. And don't ask me what the half was. So, but that shows how well we match each other mutually, right? I have a client whose list had 40 things on it, and she found a guy who had 39 out of 40 things on her list. So once you clear all this stuff out, it's very possible to find, very much exactly what you're looking for. So for her, before we clear stuff out, we can have these really repetitive experiences. So what I would say to you who wrote in, your question to me, you have to look at your history. So this could be one of 2 patterns going on for you. One is it could be a negative attraction pattern. So for instance, the negative attraction pattern from your childhood could be that you grew up in a non-religious family or a non-religious member. So sometimes in a family, one of your parents, is, religious and godly and, wants the whole family to go to church, and the other parent is not. So it could be, for instance, the mother is, and she wants everybody to go to church, and the father is not, and he goes grudgingly, or he stays home and doesn't go, things like that. And you can form a negative attraction pattern to the parent who's not godly, even though you identify with the parent who is godly, or whatever it is, right? I mean, the example here is the godliness thing. So if you have something like that, if you keep running the same pattern over and over again, then this is your pattern. This is not them. So for instance, there are godly men in the world, right? It's not like they don't exist. They certainly exist. There's plenty of guys at church who, believe in Jesus Christ, and they are very godly. So, and if you're consistently finding guys who are not over and over again, then like I said, the pattern is yours. So the key is to figure out, where does this pattern come from? The most common case would be the one I gave, right? One parent is, one parent isn't. And you have to heal the pattern, the subconscious attraction you formed to the parent who isn't godly, right? Isn't religious. But this is going to be true of whatever the pattern is, right? So again, we don't want to be overly focused on the specifics of this question. It's really a more general question than that. And the pattern here is this person is is finding the same kind of negative partners over and over again, guys who are pretending to be religious and they're not really. All right, so let's see what other questions we have live. So Dagmar, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, wrote, I don't have any problem attracting someone, but after a while they start to blow hot and cold. Why is this? Well, a good question. So the first thing for all these questions, so we're looking for, this is another question of why do I seem to have this pattern? In this case, of blowing hot and cold. So whatever the pattern is, the answer is always going to be the same. Where does this come from? Typically from childhood, right? So who was hot and cold in childhood? Hot and cold can mean different things. So it could be a parent who's literally kind of hot and cold. It can be loving 1 minute and very disconnected in the next based on what's going on for them. They could be, hot and cold could be like, it could be loving, or the cold could be cold as in emotionally distant. The cold could be angry kind of cold, or rejecting kind of cold, or something like that. So typically whatever pattern we have comes from our childhood, usually from our parents, sometimes from a sibling. So it doesn't have to be limited to parents. So if we're close to a sibling, and there's some kind of negative energy in our relationship with our sibling, that can set us up for that negative attraction pattern. So, if you want to, look at your childhood, Dagmar, you can, if you can think of something that matches it, type a comment about that. Or if that doesn't make sense, then, kind of add to your question and we can, pursue it further. So here's a person who's asking about the partner vision. This is a very important question about that. And it says, do I actually say all the physical traits I want along with all the other things I'm looking for in a partner? That's a great question, because the one thing we don't want to do with our partner vision is get overly specific about physical traits, right? What we want to do, though, it's perfectly fine to say something like, I want to find the person very attractive, right? But you don't want to start saying, I want the person to be blonde and this tall and this weight and this, that, and, because if we get too focused on a specific, physical appearance, our soulmate may not have the physical appearance. We may still be attracted to our soulmate, presumably are, of course, but may not look like that, right? So you don't want to get overly specific about physical characteristics or traits. So in my partner vision, what I wrote was, I find her very physically attractive and she finds me very physically attractive. Because you want to be in both directions. One of the things I wrote is, I find her amazing and she finds me amazing, right? So when you're writing down your partner vision, you want to write down all the things you're looking for in a partner in terms of their personal characteristics. Like I said, I wanted, a woman who's intelligent. That was important to me. And, warm-hearted and kind and loving and, fun and adventurous and all these kind of things. So you want to include all that kind of stuff. You want to include how you feel towards each other, right? I'm attracted to her. She's attracted to me. I think she's amazing. She thinks I'm amazing, right? So you want to put in that kind of stuff. And you also want to be careful about double negatives. So if there's something you don't want a partner, you don't want to say, I want to find somebody who's not this, because our subconscious doesn't notice qualifiers. So for instance, I want to find somebody who's not a smoker, for example, or who's not stingy, financially, whatever. What you want to do is look for a positive trait that that if they have this positive trait, it guarantees they won't have the negative one. So for instance, not a smoker. I'm looking for somebody who's very health conscious, right? So somebody who's health conscious is not going to be a smoker. Or who's not stingy. In that case, it's easy. Somebody who's generous, right? But sometimes you have to be a little creative in looking for a positive trait that guarantees that they won't have the negative trait, right? So that's the kind of stuff you want to put in your partner vision. And I actually have a video on that as well. So if you want a little more detailed version of that, answer that question, you can look that up there. Okay, here's another question from Letty. I use daily written affirmations to attract my soulmate, but Do I deal with my disappointment of no progress? Yes, exactly it. So I was talking, I don't know if you were on the call earlier, but one of the things I talked about for using the law of attraction is you have to clear out all the negative stuff. So one of the things I said at the very beginning of the call, and I'm going to just go through it really briefly, is there's two key blocks you have to address to ultimately find your soulmate. The first one is our negative attraction patterns, right? So if you have a negative attraction pattern that you haven't cleared out, you haven't broken free of, and you do some kind of law of attraction exercise, you're just going to meet the next person with that negative trait faster, right? Like I said, law of attraction processes is an accelerating force to whatever you're putting out to the universe, both consciously and unconsciously or subconsciously. So you need to clear that out first. And if you have significant fears and negative beliefs about being with your ideal partner or your soulmate or being married or anything like that, you have to clear that stuff out too. And then if you're having negative feelings about, your dating life, like you're feeling discouraged and disappointed and stuff like that, you have to clear that out when you're doing your law of attraction exercises. Otherwise, none of it's going to work for you. You have to clear out all the negative stuff first so that all you're sending out to the universe is positive. Then it'll work great, right? Like it did for me, my wife, my client, and various other people. So once you clear out all the negative stuff, it will work wonderfully. All right, let's see the next question. So the comments are visible. That's great. So at least you guys have that. And I'm really sorry the video is not working of me. Like I said, I'll fix that for next time. Okay, here's the next comment. And it says, I want a real partner with whom I can connect intellectually and emotionally. However, when someone appears, it's men who are not on my level. And of course, I'm not satisfied. Why is this happening? All right. So it's kind of the same questions before. So, well, actually, this particular example, it can happen for one of two reasons or both. So if somebody, when you say they're not at your level, so it would help if I knew a little bit more specifically what you're talking about. But for instance, if it's not your level intellectually, one of the things that can happen there is, like, for instance, I wanted somebody intelligent as well, right? That was one of my criteria. You can tell within the first couple of conversations if somebody is intelligent. I'm not trying to be snobby about it. I'm just saying we can all tell that, right? Now, intelligence may not be a primary factor for some people. Lots of people, that's not one of their top concerns anyway. But if that is a big concern for you, you can get a sense of how intelligent somebody is in the first couple of conversations, maybe the very first conversation. So one of the things that happens, I think, is that we don't hold out for what we really want, right? We're not ambitious enough. So a lot of people get worried that maybe I'm looking for too much. So the pie in the sky pattern, like, I'm being unrealistic. And so they'll meet somebody they like, and maybe they're physically attracted to the person, they like the person, it's fun being together, but they're not keeping their eye on the prize, right? If intelligence is important and you're not, and you can tell in the first conversation or two that this person doesn't really have the level of intelligence you really want, then what's the point of going forward? What's the point of continuing to date that person? So sometimes it's that we're not being ambitious enough and we're not holding out for what we truly want, right? And same with emotional connection, because there are some guys who are not good at connecting at an emotional level. And again, that's something you can tell, maybe not in the first conversation or two, but fairly early on. And if they're not able to connect on the level emotionally that you're looking for, why keep going? Now, if this keeps, and there are guys who are able to connect emotionally, so maybe even better than you can, right? So they do exist. One of the concerns that people have when they do their partner vision with their 30, 40 things on it is they're worried that a guy like that just doesn't exist, or a woman like that doesn't exist. And my first answer to that is, if you look at your partner vision, you'll start to notice that a lot of things on that list are actually you, right? You're really looking for somebody who's kind of similar to you in a lot of ways, and you exist. So if you exist, the other person exists. So again, I encourage people to be really ambitious. So for you, Katerina, if I'm saying it right, If they're not meeting at your level and you're not satisfied, then you want to check in. It's like you probably could figure that out early on. So if you did get involved with them and you're feeling dissatisfied a year later, then ask yourself, well, why did I do that? Why did I get involved with them when I kind of knew up front that they weren't what I was really looking for? If it's a pattern, if you can get more specific about it as a pattern, again, look in childhood. It's like, okay, which parent resembles the partners that I seem to be getting involved with? And that could be the source of this pattern rather than not being ambitious enough. Though being ambitious enough could help you not get involved with those people. But until you clear the pattern, what you might find yourself is you're just not getting involved with anybody. I have on my website at singletosoulmate.me, I have this free mini course called The 3 Secrets to Attracting Amazing Love, which talks about these 3 blocks that I've already been talking about in this call, but in more depth. And I had somebody contact me, for doing one-on-one sessions. And she said, I read your free mini course, a year ago, and I learned all about this negative attraction pattern thing. I got very clear what my negative attraction pattern was, right? But then this is what's been going on for me for the next year. I'd meet a guy that I was really attracted to. We'd go on our first date. By the end of the first date, I would recognize, this guy fits my negative attraction pattern. So I'd cut things off right there. I wouldn't have another date with him. And then some time would go by and I'd meet another guy I was really interested in. We'd go on a first date and say another one of those guys, and I'd cut things off right away. She goes, for the whole past year, that's been my love life, going on onesie dates where I'd recognize right away that he was another one of them, but that's all I've been doing. So just having the understanding and awareness might be enough to avoid getting involved with these negative partners. But until you actually break free from the pattern, that's kind of all you can do, which is what her experience was. All right. So let's see. Yeah, it's interesting. By the way, you see my video is frozen because I can see me. I can see myself on the video, but it's unfortunately, it's there. It's frozen for you guys. Okay, next question from Dagmar. It's mother who could be very supportive and kind, but also punishing with her coldness and rejection. Sister was the same. So now I've identified this. How do I heal? So there we go, right? There's the pattern. His partners were hot and cold. His mother and sister were hot and cold. So the way you do this, so to really, really give you a good answer to that is going to take about 12 minutes, which would be the whole rest of the call. So I'm going to give you a quick version of that. And if you sign up for my free mini course, The 3 Secrets to Attracting Amazing Love, which is just eight daily emails, and that's it. But one of those 8 emails, which is it's like 8 lessons, right? And lesson 4 has a link to a non-public video that talks about how these negative attractions created psychologically and the very detailed healing process that it takes to break out of these negative attraction patterns. Again, to really answer that question at all, it would take the whole 12 minutes of that video. It's a 12-minute video, and it would take that whole 12 minutes. So I'm not going to try and do it now. Otherwise, that'd be the last question I answer. But I'll just go back to what I said before. You want to basically heal 3 representative examples of, your case of your mom who could be, supportive and kind, but then also punishing with her coldness. We use EFT with that. Okay, I'll give you a mini version of it. So we won't talk. See, to really understand the answer, you have to understand the psychological basis of creating these things. So I may or may not be happy with my answer. So I'll try and give a quick version, and I'll say whether or not I think that's okay. So the healing process is a 3-part healing process. Part 1, it all happens in one session per memory. But basically, the first part is to pick a memory where mom went from being, supportive and kind to punishing with her coldness. And you would start by tuning into the painful feelings and healing them with EFT. That's what all EFT practitioners do, but that's not sufficient because there's more involved than just that. The second part is and again, I go in depth in that email. The second part is to help our inner child to stand up for him or herself in relation to the parent's negative trait, because subconsciously we come to believe we deserve to be treated that way. And there's a certain process that I use to help people break out of that. It's an empowerment process to break free from that feeling. And the third part is to heal our internal parent, who can then give us the love that was missing in that experience. So this is not a very satisfying answer because it's so short that you may or may not get what I'm saying. If you sign up for the mini course, you'll get it free, and you'll get the full version that really goes into depth about how you develop the negative attraction pattern and everything it takes to break free from it. So that's what I encourage that you guys do. I want to try and answer as many questions as I can, live on the call. Okay, this person wrote, thank you so much for answering my questions. I will absolutely go and find your videos that go into more detail on my questions. Thanks again. You are very, very welcome. I'm very glad that you found my answers helpful. Okay, Katerina said, it's a pattern for me. Thanks for your reply. Okay, again, you're very welcome. Okay, and Dagmar says, thanks, Stefan. I'll do the mini course. Okay, great. Yeah, I would really encourage everybody to do it. Sign up for this mini course. It's the mini course is mostly in the form of stories. I had somebody help me with the mini course, and he goes, lots of great content in this mini course, but it feels like a lecture. Why don't you rewrite everything in stories? So I spent months rewriting everything in stories. So it's actually fun to read this mini course, and it's interesting. And I still managed to convey all the same information in the form of these stories, plus this one video. And I think you'll find it really interesting and enlightening. So I really do encourage everybody to get that. We got 8 minutes left on this call. So any final questions before we sign off? Let's see. Well, while I'm waiting for any final questions, let me just say a bit more about what I do. So I have this website, singletosoulmate.me. It's up in the upper corner if you see my video. I don't know if you're seeing this or not. But anyway, single to the number 2 soulmate.me, not .com, .me. And there's lots of good information on the website. That's where you sign up for the mini course. And I have a couple of different ways to help people clear their blocks to finding their soulmate. So you can do it too. One is the one-on-one work that I do with clients, which I've been referencing. I also have a very affordable self-healing program called the Single to Soulmate Breakthrough Program. So you can learn about that on my website. It's a lot more affordable than working one-on-one. And it's something you can do on your own. And I don't want to go into too much detail about this in the call, but it's basically a bunch of recorded. Well, it's a live group programs I've run in the past, and then I recorded those sessions, and then you sort of tap along. And I'm working live with people in the group program. There's a little bit of live group tapping, but it's mostly kind of one-on-one sessions within the group. And then we all go along and tap, and you tap along with it in the program. Okay, so Katerina said, Stefan, I went through your mini course a few years ago. It's excellent. I'm glad you thought it was excellent. But it's not easy when someone works on him or herself. So that's a good point. So this Single to Soulmate Breakthrough Program, which is a self-healing program, some people love it, and they're able to make tremendous progress doing it all by themselves. And lots of times enough and they're done. Some people make tremendous progress, but they're not quite done, and they'll contact me to clean up whatever's left to do. And some people find that trying to do it by themselves doesn't work very well at all. Ironically, that'd be me. I don't like doing stuff by myself. I like working one-on-one with people. But for those people, I have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So it gives you 2 full months to try doing the program on your own. And if it works for you, fantastic. And if it doesn't work for you, then you get your money back. So because I am very aware, as I say, I'm one of those people who probably have a hard time using my own program. That I wanted to make it so that, if you think you want to give it a try, there's no risk to it, right? You work with it. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, no problem. Get your money back. But Katerina, I'm glad you thought the mini course was excellent. That's great. Any other questions? So far, there isn't anybody. So I'm going to just say this. if somebody gets the last, question in before we end, I'll try and answer that. But in the meantime, I want to be encouraging here. It can feel a little daunting, starting to understand all these different blocks. Or do I do one-on-one consultations? Absolutely. If anybody is interested in talking about working together one-on-one, I offer a free 20-minute discovery session to talk about it. And all you have to do to set up one of those is just go to my website at singletosoulmate.me and go to the Contact Us page. And just in the context, you say, hey, Stefan, I'd like a discovery session with you. And I say, great, here it is. Here's the link to sign up for it. So yeah, just go there. But what I want to say for everybody is that it can seem a little daunting starting to understand these blocks, like these intense, subconscious attractions to the wrong people. That's a big block, and it is intense. And then having all these fears and negative beliefs and the law of attraction, yada yada. There is a lot of stuff, and it's one of these good news, bad news things. The bad news is that we almost all of us, I'd say over 90% of us, are subject to these things. And in fact, if you look at our marriage statistics, in the United States anyway, half of all marriages end in divorce, and the other half who stay together, half of them are unhappy. So which means 75% of marriages are kind of failures, really, right? Only 25% are happy, but that doesn't count all the people who never get married. So that's why I say it's more like 90%. So it is a problem, but the good news is that it's all healable, and it doesn't take forever. It doesn't take years of healing. It's measured more in months. That's it. And you can clear all this stuff out. And when you do clear all this stuff out, break free from negative attraction patterns, you'll never have to look for red flags again. You just won't be attracted to those people anymore. And they will be a turn off instead of a turn on. So that part of your life is just over, right? And then when you clear your fears and negative beliefs, then you feel comfortable in your own skin. You feel good about yourself. You feel confident. And so talking to somebody who's super interesting and attractive and appealing is not scary anymore. It just feels like, yeah, well, of course I want to go talk to this person. And I'm so curious and interested to get to know him or her, right? And then once you've done those two things, the law of attraction works great, right? It's not a mixed bag anymore. That's one of the reasons why people have such a hard time with the law of attraction is they haven't cleared out all this negative stuff, which is what they're really sending out to the universe, right? But once you clear out all the negative stuff, all you're sending to the universe is positive stuff, your vision of who you're looking for and all this positive energy to go with it. And then the law of attraction works great. So you do all that stuff, which again, doesn't take that long. And then you can have an amazing partner who, like my partner vision says, you think is amazing and they think you're amazing. And you can have this, tremendous, wonderful relationship. And I have to say, meeting your soulmate is awesome. It is so incredible. And I want that for everybody. This is my mission in my life, is to help as many people as possible, meet their soulmate. And I know how to get them there. So I encourage you to all do it. And I guess we'll stop here. And don't have any more to say. There's no more questions. I will continue to do these live Ask Me Anything calls on YouTube. And so I look forward to seeing you guys in the next call. Good point. If you want to be notified of these calls, there's two ways to do it. One, when you sign up for my free mini course, you'll get an email notification from that. Whether or not you do that, if you subscribe to my channel, of course, you'll get a notification through your subscription to my channel. So that's another way to do it. Either one of those, you'll get notified of when I do my next live Q&A call, because I'm not doing it like the same day every month, that kind of thing. It's kind of like when I'm in the mood. I'll go, now, this weekend is a good time to do it. So I'll just do it. All right. So Jody said, thank you for your time. You are so welcome. It's my pleasure to do this. It's been, it's been great getting all the questions from you guys. And I see you all on the next call. All right. Bye, everybody.